Well, afternoon, everybody. It's Sunday afternoon. I thought I'd put together another bit of information on the mobile application. This is part two. We're going to be going through probably four parts, is my thoughts, maybe five. If you remember last time, I was going through the different screens, creating the inspection as it goes through each and every process of this. And the major thing that we had discussed was that we needed to have the last page of each one of these, so that way we knew when to stop and go back to the beginning and see what it says after it's been signed and done. So in doing so, what I've gotten here is, okay, so this is the main screen where we choose the inspection, and I found out that most of these fields here were on every one of the inspections, so I put it on the main screen instead. And then we go through each one of these, and our last page for that first inspection is 5. So what I need to do is then I'm going to change this to 5. Going on to the trailer inspection, which will start at 10, I go through it, and it in itself will stop on 14. So we're going to set that one to 14. Okay. Now we got the CTPAP, starts at 20. 1, 2. Going to be 2 pages of that, so it's going to stop at 21. And then the driver's one is the last one, which starts at 30. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, 3 actually. 3. Yeah, we'll do 4 pages. 34 will be the last one. Okay, 34 is it. So now what happens here is we need to take these numbers here and take a look and see what our next button says. Okay. So what we're doing is we're looking to see whether the case is the last page of each one of them. Okay. And the last page, then we go and let it switch. So if we're on the last page, you go back to the main page on each one of these. Let's just hit the go button and see whether or not this works exactly that way. All right, so we got 1. Okay, we got a little bit off here because we should have a little bit more information than that. Let's go back to main. Should start at 1. You hit the home key, goes 0, so that starts at 1. That's right, starts at 1. With this done. And then we got to choose things. Okay, so it's just me. Okay, so we fill in all that. Let's go trailer inspection, and let's go next, 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 done, and it goes right back to the inspection site, which is exactly what we want. Tractor inspection, next, 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 done, goes back to the beginning again. So now we're going to hit the C-tap, 1, 2, back to the beginning. And so it's working exactly like we want it to. Exactly like we want it to. So in doing this, what we've got here is basically a wizard-based system. Now, the way I did this, to be honest with you, can be used in WinDev or even WebDev. As a wizard base, and it works out nicely because now I've got, if we need to add things in a certain section for whatever reason, we certainly can add multiple pages and stuff like this. So what we're going to do here, or what we can do here, and what will be added as this, is that one of the things that we're going to have to do is have images. They want to take pictures of everything. So what we'll do is we'll take this page here and make it all of the images that they've taken on every one of the pictures to see how things look. So there'll be a little slight modification of the screen when we start doing the images and taking the pictures and stuff like that. And we're going to utilize the camera on the device. So the way we're going to do that, instead of using the capture function that used to be in version 21, 22, 23, and stuff like that. We're going to actually have this call the systems device picture and just bring us back the image name. So that's what we're going to do. So what do we need to do next now that we got this cleaned up and everything else? Obviously, we need to be able to deal with the data itself, in, out, save it, the whole 9 yards. And the way I do that is that we set up a set of classes. 9 times out of 10, depending upon the size of the application, and you don't want to make it just too overwhelming, is you only really need one class. That's it. And the class is going to handle the arrays and the information, and it will also turn around and update any information with the RESTful programs and stuff like that. So we're going to create this class, and we're going to call it, our mobile class. Okay? All right, in the project tree or project situation, I'm going to put in there MOB is mobile class. Okay? As it goes in, now we need to add in some items inside the class. We're going to have certain arrays. We're going to have arrays for maybe locations, things like this, as well as some other minor deals that we're going to be pulling back in, like we're talking about all the trailer information and what they call the movement lookup. I don't know what those are right now, so we're not going to really create those arrays at the moment. What we're going to do is create one array for the inspection, okay? And the way we can do that is we come up here at the top. Actually, there's a couple ways. Let's do this another way. The second class we're going to create is we're going to call this record class, okay? This is going to be the definition of the record. And it's going to have all of the fields that we're using on the screen is going to be stored here. So let's just do it this way. Inspection date. Actually, I want date time. Inspector. That's his initials, and on down the line. In the mobile class, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to say rec is a record class, and we're also going to say AR inspection is array of record class. Okay, so now we got both of those. I'm going to add all the fields off in a little bit. We can go through them and show a deal, but I'm going to add probably about 5 or 10 fields and show you how they link. And the reason why I'm going to do that is that you don't need to go through, because there's literally about 100, 150 fields I go through. So there's no reason to let you sit here and watch me do the same thing over and over and over and over again. But what we do want to do is set up certain classes to manage the data. And the data we want to have is we got to have a fetch. We got to have that's for any inspections that are currently being stored on the device. So we're going to fetch all those inspections so that way they have them in history and we can utilize them and build reports out of them. We can build graphs, things like this, which is what we are going to do. We're going to build some graphs and stuff like that so that way they can see what's going on as we move along. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to need to do all the RESTful calls where we, fetch anything from the REST that we need, update or insert a new inspection. We're going to report off of that inspection, and we're going to also send all of the images and assign those as well. I'm waiting for a couple of answers from Jim on whether he's going to go cloud-based or what, and that's going to determine how we do the image storage. Once I know the image storage, it won't be as difficult. We'll be able to do that pretty easy and go from there. But let's kind of get started. Fetch inspections. All right. This one here is our TCI inspections that we have here, file data inspections. So what we're going to do then is do a simple, because the inspections that they have on here is going to be for the day. These are all the inspections they've done for the day. At the end of the day, when they take the device back in and just plug it in and leave it there in the office, I'm going to run through in the background, or we're going to be working in the background to make sure all this data is put up there, and then we'll get rid of it when I can verify back and forth that all the data has been updated and nothing's missing. Once that's done, the inspections disappear, starts off a new day. So all we have to do is a file to array from the AAR inspections to the data file of inspections. Okay? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We are storing that different. I'm sorry. We're storing that in JSON. Don't be a bonehead. Okay. Okay, so we need to do this a little different here. We're going to so what we'll do here instead, because each record is going to be separated in this, I was thinking a different method I'd used before, but we're using each record separately. So we're going to do a for each. Of inspections. Oh, I'm sorry, for each inspection. This is where we're going to take the JSON record and say JSON put that in there, and JREC equals inspections JSON. If now normally, and this is one thing I've looked at and try to figure out is that whether or not I could just copy it directly into the rec class. In Windows, rec, JREC, would copy or deep assign copy each one of the fields over there. When we go to test this, we'll see whether or not that actually works. It had not worked in previous versions. They probably may have fixed it up in 25. So I want to try that first, and then if it doesn't, then I'll show you how to manage it from a field by field basis to do exactly the same thing. Right, add, and we're done. Okay. Now what that'll do then is load up every one of the inspections into memory. So if we need to look back for a previous inspection to edit it or change it or do something with it, we can allow the end user to go back and say, wait a minute, we saw something on this. We need to change the inspection instead of just tossing it away and starting over. Okay, gives them a little bit more flexibility if they want to look up a previous inspection. Okay, from that, we're going to go to the next one, which is a fetch data. Now this one here is a little different. This is going to be a REST call and request. I'm not really putting anything in here at the moment except the minimum needed to get it going. In order to get data. If you need to put security with it, obviously you can. We can do a request user ID and go from there. So when they log on, they got to use their user ID and password to get any data. Then we got response is REST response. Get all that. Okay. And then we've got to do the post. Now, the major way everything's posted is pretty straightforward. You got an add, change, and delete. Okay. Most of ours that we're going to be sending is all going to be ads. They're not going to be deletes. They're going to be ads. So we got a couple things here. We're going to do another procedure, and that's going to be add. We'll just put it inspection. And we'll do an in inspection is records class. Okay. That one there, again, we go through the same process. JREC is JSON. JREC. And from that point, we got a couple things to do. We're going to do an array add to the inspection. Then we got one other thing we need to do. We're going to go ahead and add that also. Okay. Let's put an action type on here. Okay, now the action type is a 1, 2, or 3. So in essence, we've got a case, switch action type, case 1, case 2, case 3. Okay. Now what that is that we want to know, one is an add, so that's pretty simple, and we've already added to the array. I know that we're going to possibly update, so we'll do, but we also need to take care of that kind of functionality as well. So we got an array to add on a 1, on a 2, we're going to do a fndx is int equals array seek inspection, and inspections as linear first. Inspections ID with in inspection ID. Okay? We're going to find it. If fndx 0, we're going to AR inspection equals in inspection. So if any changes, it would be on there. Otherwise, we're going to add it. Okay? You notice the inspection ID is not there, so we're going to add that into the record class so it'll not complain. Okay. All right, so we got case 2 there. Case 3, we're basically going to copy this exact code, except do it a little different. Okay. We're going to find it, and when we find it, did I not do that right? Should have. Forgot the S. When we find it, we're not going to assign this. What we're going to do is 2 things. Array delete AR inspection, comma, fndx. Okay? And we're going to not do anything on the else side. That's all we're going to do is get rid of the record itself. And that way we can make sure it's gone. We want to keep it in the data. And when we do that, the reason why we want to keep it in the, well, we don't have to. Well, yes, we do. So that way somebody doesn't delete an inspection they don't expect to or shouldn't. But in doing so, what we need to do is add the inspection back to, okay, the file with a delete option on there, so that way it knows it's being deleted. Okay, and when we look at the data on the other side going through there, we'll be able to handle that process. Okay, which means that my inspections is not quite right. I need to make a small change on this because I want to go in here. We're going to do an action type. So that way we know what it is. Okay. All right. So now we got that, and we are then going to read seek first, inspections, inspections ID, site value, IN, INSP, dot inspections. And then we do inspections, action type equals 3. That way we know it's still saved in case something's particularly wrong, but we know that that record should be deleted at that point. Okay? We go back up here. We got basically the same thing. Oh, we got to do an H modify. I forgot about that. Okay. Now, we get back up here, we got case 1 array. We also need to add it to the table too. So inspections, that record equals JREC, or in inspection, and then H add inspections. That takes care of adding any new records coming in. The second one, we can also take this same one here, and we do the same FH read seek first. And inspection type equals 2. Got to add that up here. That's going to be a 1. Okay, I've got to modify there and add there. So now we've taken care of, as each inspection is done, it'll either be added locally, it'll be updated locally, on down the line for each one of them. Now, the difference between this is when we send it to the RESTful call, I don't need to know what it is. I already got what it is, okay? So at the bottom of this, I can go ahead and frame in my REST call. Request is REST request. Request.url. Request.type content equals HTTP type mime JSON. Request.content equals JREC. Okay. The reason why I do that is because since it's a JSON record, it's going to map in there as a text directly to the content. Request method will be HTTP post. Okay. And then we've got REST response. Request. The difference here is the URL is going to have one slash after it because we're going to do this, and that is going to be action type equals okay. So once the URL is there with the action type, we send the action type as a pass parameter, and that's all we need it for. Everything else is in the content, and we go from there, and we take care of any errors that may come back at this point, check and see. We're not going to really worry about whether or not it's going to be there, because that's, again, is in the validation when they get back into the office and things like that, and put the device up. They'll have that set up that way, so we'll never really lose any data, unless we know we can't send it for whatever reason, and go from there. So now that we have all of this, the rest of it now is tying in the fields to the fields on the screen, things like that, and then we start off on doing the RESTful program. RESTful program is going to be a lot more coding, hand coding, because in my opinion, 9 times out of 10 or 90% of the time, the mobile device should display data, should gather data, should send it to the server, let it handle what it needs to handle, and that's about it. It is an interface to the user, not necessarily a huge program that has to do a bunch of things. The simpler you keep it, the less maintenance you'll have to do to it. Okay. If you have all of your maintenance in the screens and the software, it's a hell of a lot easier to do it there than anywhere else. Okay. It really is. So my thoughts are the smart thing to do is to utilize this. Now, there is going to be an email function but the email is going to be done on the server side, not on the device itself. Okay, so they won't have to put any information for the email or things like that in order to send a proper email. The second thing that it's not, most everything from here is going to be done on the server and the RESTful programs. So we're going to have quite a bit. We're going to be handling that in the short term. To start linking a few things together, now that I have this, I can go back to the first page. I got the inspection site, so if I hit the description, I can come over here to the link. I pick my variables, and there's the mobile class. I need the rec structure. I don't need this. Oh, no, I got to create this structure. I'm sorry. So we got to go in here, and we're just going to make rec inspection is record class. Okay. So now I come up here, content, link, and we'll have the variables, which the first thing is going to be the inspection, and I'm going to put the inspection site. Okay, so this is the date first. That is done here. The date is going to be displayed as it goes through, and I'm going to use the date on that. Let's see what I got in my record class here. Let's put a few other things in there. Tractor number, trailer, a couple more in there. We'll put in move number, state, license plate. Few things like this, and we're going to go in there, and we got the tractor number, we got trailer number, tractor status. We need the status. Okay, so let's use this now. One of the other cool features you may not have done in 25, highlight all that and hit Control R, lines everything up. So everything looks so nice and pretty. Really is a nice thing to do. The inspection date, and we'll go from there. So let's line a few of these things up here. Inspection site. Did I put a site on there? I don't think I did. No, I did not. I want P in there. We're going to link that up to inspection site. There, now it's there. IntelliSense works when you pre-compile it. Sign that one there, license plate. State. Move number. Tractor number. Tractor status. Trailer number. So, continuing along here, the next step is for me to go through the rest of the 20-some pages and link all of this stuff up into fields I've created in the class. So when we get back together, I'll show you the full structure of both of those and set this up. Now, this is going to be on MS SQL. So I'm actually going to bring up the MS SQL, and I'm going to create the tables and everything that you need for it, so you can see what those are, and we can provide the scripts and things like that that's necessary. So we're going to be doing that, as well as starting all the RESTful classes and working on this second phase of this, which is the REST. Now, we're also going to have a desktop unit or web. I'm not quite sure which way I'm going to do it. I may do it web. I got to check with Pete on something first before I do that. But that's going to give management information. Okay. With the management information, that will allow the system to tell the management, how many inspections are being done, how many problems are there, on down the line, making sure that the safety personnel are aware of any safety issues that's in there, so they can take care of them, any damage for possible chargeback, all of this stuff. So we need some management tools as well, and we're going to build those as well. You're going to find out that most of the time, other than just the grunt work in mobile, the majority of the actual code, one way or another, is all done on the server side. It's not done in the mobile device. I try to minimize that as much as possible. So we're going to step through this one thing at a time. We're going to get through it and go from there. Let me link the rest of this together, and then I'll get back with you on another short clip where we show what we've done and expand further of creating the RESTful program, calling it, things like that. This is going to be demoed on my servers and stuff, so it's going to have my server information on there. But that, that is probably going to change when it goes live, because he'll have his own servers and things that he wants to do. But we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, thanks for joining me. That shows you a little bit more of what I'm doing with the method on this particular inspection system. And we'll go from there, and I'll explain any of the fields, any of the links, and we'll get into creating the RESTful, so that way we can test and actually call something and say, hey, is it working? And go from there. Anyway, that's all I got to say for today. It's a little shorter one. Be good or be good at it. Enjoy yourself. Good programming, guys.